curious why he has this torture chamber in his basement. Has anyone commented about that? Why does this guy have a torture chamber ready to go in his basement? Okay, so I wanted to touch on She-Hulk because we did 2 reaction videos reacting to the trailers. And of course, She-Hulk episode 1 came out a few days ago. We're a little late to the game. It's been on the queue, but we finally had a chance to watch it last night. So I thought in today's episode, we'll give you not only a quick breakdown, but also a lawyer's reaction to She-Hulk.
There's going to be spoilers in this first
there are
episode.
intentional spoilers in this.
But at the end of the day, even with these spoilers, you're not going to really... Nothing's really going to be spoiled, so you're fine.
Okay, so of course, Jennifer Walker, who is She-Hulk, she's the deputy district attorney. And so it opens with just a close-up on her face and then slowly pans out where she's practicing her closing argument for a case that she's handling. And, you know, I think kind of pretty quickly they get right into, you know, this scene where she's practicing and then this other attorney in the office is like, you sure you don't want me to do it? And then her paralegal is like, she did great. She's wonderful. And so there's already kind of this tone of, you know, because is she a female attorney? And so that's why he's saying she's not good enough. And so I kind of, there's that sentiment that happens a few times throughout the episode, which actually I thought was pretty cool as it evolved. But in any case, so she ends up getting Hulk's blood. There's this scene where they're driving along and then there's a car crash, spaceship or something. I think he's about to get served some legal document. But in any case, that's what happens when you see the law coming. Run! So there was an accident, and in the process, she gets some of his blood in a wound, and so now Jennifer changes to She-Hulk, and so she goes into this, you know, raging spiral, and she's running through the woods and kind of freaking out. So then we see her wake up, and she's confused, and so she wanders into, would you call it a bar? Was it a bar or like a restaurant?
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, it was like a...
Yeah, so kind of a dive bar feel about it, and then, you know, some girls see her disheveled, and they, you know, in the bathroom, they're like, oh my gosh, what happened? Who did this to you? And what I did like about this moment is that all the women were immediately trying to assist her versus, you know, she kind of looked like a homeless, you know, destitute person, and rather being off-put by her, they immediately go to help. They're putting their clothes on her, give you my cell phone. So I liked that sense of just like trying to help someone when they looked like they were in need. So then, you know, we kind of fast forward. She wakes up to this beautiful, she's in a beachfront host, or she's on a beachfront estate. Okay, so beautiful scenery. And so this is Hulk's kind of property slash getaway slash how is he able to afford this. But in any case, this is where he kind of walks her through. This is what happened to you. I guess she has this, you know, genetic factor that makes her blood that much more unique. And so he walks through all of this. And I think at this point that Orko was kind of tuning out when we were watching it because they got to do the backstory.
Yeah, no, I hate it's usually just first episodes of TV shows. Like I really don't care about just get into the show already. And like for me, there was just so much stuff with the Hulk where I understood that you had to like have that in there. Like I didn't really care about it, like and if he's not going to be a main character in it, it just kind of felt like a waste of an episode. Where I really thought where it started to pick up was later on, where it's like getting into like the court kind of scene stuff. Like that's the stuff that I really want to see.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find a picture or a still from the scene where they're in his lab, because I had a question. When they're in the lab, and we saw this in the trailer, but when they're in the lab, he puts her in this chamber, and then they're, what do you call them, like, you know,
the saw blades. Yeah,
there's saw blades in the wall, and he's basically like, we need to be able to trigger it, you know, so your She-Hulk comes out or whatever. And I'm just curious why he has this torture chamber in his basement. Has anyone commented about that? Why does this guy have a torture chamber ready to go in his basement?
You know, he's preparing, you know, his own saw room.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about those movies later. But in any case, so, you know, as part of the training, what we do find is that she adapts very quickly. And he's like, this is going to take 15 years for you to kind of come to terms and learn to control it. And she basically has a handle on it immediately. And although he's trying to instill good things about mindfulness to control your emotions, because he goes, you know, you are a danger to other people, right? Because you could transform, you're going to hurt other people. And she's just kind of joking around. She doesn't care about any of these, and she thinks it's all kind of woo-woo. But the one thing that I did kind of take, I guess, heart or Two Heart, was, from the mindfulness and the yoga and just how incredibly important that is. And, even for me as an actual attorney, that's not something I have really done for the majority of my adult life. And I really only kind of adopted those practices very recently.
No,
So that's a
I
whole other thing. But I
no, I
liked the
liked it.
sentiment.
I do like the dynamic that they had with each other. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't want to make it sound like I have a problem with the Hulk. Again, my whole problem is just first episodes of things. It could have been anything that happened. Anytime you do like a backstory, it's just boring to me. Um, but I did like that. I did like that, he was really trying to educate her on all the things that he learned. And although he was jealous the whole time and kind of frustrated because everything just came so easy to her, and, I did like that he was like, he was really working and trying to better himself constantly. And I think that's something that we all, need to take a shot from. So
Well, speaking of shots, so there's a scene where they're like getting drunk, but then Hulk goes, because we're so big, it takes us a long time to get drunk, and we really don't ever get drunk. And so then you see the aftermath of their drinking frenzy, and there's like 30 bottles of vodka and all these different alcohols on the ground. And I'm like, if you do the math on that, that's like 6 grand.
yeah, no,
And they're
that's
not even
that's
drunk. What a waste.
no, that was the whole thing. And I mean, he was when he was trying to explain that as a good thing, and I was just like, I don't even understand what the point of that scene. You know what I mean? Like, for of doing that, it seems incredibly wasteful, and somebody's got to clean all that stuff off the beach. You know what I mean? All those
That's a
glass
good
bottles and
point.
stuff. Like, who is he? I didn't see him taking out any trash. I'm sure he did, but where's that all go?
I liked
Uh,
the thunderclap. So we've seen
that was
Hulk's
fun.
thunderclap, and so she's doing like she does it a couple times while they're fighting. It's like an applause, a thunder applause. But I get there's a scene where she's trying to leave, and she's like, "You do your thing. I still want to be a lawyer. I don't care that I'm a She-Hulk. I'll figure it out." And so he's trying to stop her, and they get into this pretty violent battle. And for me, I'm like, because they're in Hulk form, it seems way more obviously like, comic book ish. And so
Less toxic.
well, yeah, and I'm like, if they weren't in Hulk form and they're beating the crap at each other, and more importantly, he's beating the crap out of her, would we feel
I mean,
differently about this scene?
either one of them. I mean, like they're cousins, and they're sitting there fighting like that, and they were really trying to hurt each other, and they're like, oh, it's fine, we can take it, but I don't know. I actually was like, oh, that's kind of it's kind of disturbing, that scene, but it was still action packed and fun. I
Yeah,
tend to look at things. I always tend to overly dissect things.
I think that's what happens to us as we get older, and we look at things through our lenses of
Of
our
being
views of
older.
the
Yeah,
world. Yeah.
yeah, no,
we,
it's
we we all read way too much into this stuff. But anyway, so the last scene, so this character Tatiana, and I looked this up because I don't know this character, but according to villains fandom, Tatiana is an antagonist in Marvel Comics. She's a prominent criminal, the wife of the Absorbing Man, and the arch enemy of She-Hulk. So she is very strong. She's very resilient to high heat and things like that. So she's a good equivalent, and so she can fight She-Hulk. But in any case, so we see, she's like breaking into the courtroom, and She-Hulk, her assistant or her paralegal is like, all right, it's time, time to change and save the day, which Jennifer does. And then after she knocks out Tatiana, she puts her high heels back on, and her clothes are all ripped, obviously from being stretched. And she's like, "Your Honor, I'm ready to give my closing statement." So again, that was yet another little like, she's gonna kick butt and do her thing, but then still be composed and ready to do her job.
now, yeah, this and it's then that's where I had the hardest time, because for me, that was when they started showing the courtroom. That's when I started getting excited. That's what I want to see. I want to see these cases. Like, I wish that it was more really. I hope that the future episodes are really focused kind of on that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, you can have some action in there. I mean, obviously, it's She-Hulk. People are going to be tuning in for that. But I think it would be really refreshing if it's treated like I'm just interested in those stories. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so as far as kind of our takeaway, nothing life changing for this first episode. We definitely want to see more, and this was my interest. I
I
want
thought
to
it was
see if they're
funny. I
gonna.
thought it was funny though. Like, I did think it was funny. Like I thought the jokes were funny. I thought that her whole obsession with Captain America was hilarious. And if you make sure that like other, because we walked when she was done, we watched it. She walked out, and I guess there was a final scene like in all these Marvel movies. And I mean, I think it's pretty funny. I like the humor and the jokes that they're putting in there.
No, and
I like
everything's
this.
well done. Everything's well
Everything's well
done.
done.
No,
Yeah, no problem
yeah,
with it. Just first episode slump. That's just my problem with every show, though.
Yes, but we'll be continuing to follow and update you guys as the episodes come.